And actually this summer, it seems like all of Ridgewood is being paved. I've never seen so much paving. So for, Heather and Keith, I know you're new, but you get credit just because you're here. Chris, I want to thank the county. I want to thank everybody involved in this because I know it's a Herculean effort and it makes such a dramatic difference. And so with that, we will move on to our regular agenda. And so we have the introduction of 3963. I move the first reading of ordinance 3963.
May I have a second?
Oh, second, sorry, thanks.
So ordered.
Perrin.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3963 by title?
Bond ordinance of the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, providing for the construction of new treatment plants by Ridgewood Water to centralize the treatment and remediation of PFOA and PFOS, appropriating $11 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $11 million bonds or notes of the village to finance the costs thereof.
I move that ordinance 3963 be adopted on first reading and that September 13th, 2023 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
And Vagianos.
Yes.
The following resolution, numbered 23-275, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the village council. It will be read by title only. Award sole source contract, SCADA support services, not to exceed $25,000. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I second.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
And Vagianos.
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3964.
Second.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
And Vagianos.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3964 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Vehicles and Traffic, and Section 265-65, parking prohibited at all times, and Section 265-69, time limit parking.
I move that ordinance 3964 be adopted on first reading and that September 13th, 2023 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
And Vagianos.
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3965.
I second.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
And Vagianos.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3965 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 101, Article 1 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, General Provisions, at Section 101-7, Term of License and Payment of Fees, Section 101-10B, License Entitlements Fees, and Section 101-11, Plenary Retail Distribution License.
I move that ordinance 3965 be adopted on first reading and that September 13th, 2023 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
And Vagianos.
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3966.
I second.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
And Vagianos.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3966 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 3, Article 2 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled Village Council at Section 3-13 entitled Order of Business and Section 3-19 entitled Manner Addressing Council.
I move that ordinance 3966 be adopted on first reading and that September 13th, 2023 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
And Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3962 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
I second.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
Winograd.
Yes.
And Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3962?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 190 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Land Use and Development at Section 190-120 environmental provisions.
The planning board has not yet reviewed this ordinance and given their input, which is required for all land use ordinances, prior to adoption. Therefore, the public hearing on ordinance 3962 will be continued to September 13th, 2023. The public hearing for ordinance 3962 was advertised for this evening, so anyone wishing to comment on this ordinance may do so at this meeting, at the meeting on September 13th, 2023, or both. At this time, the public hearing is now open.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Boyd A. Loving, 342 South Irving Street. Prior to my comments on this, I'd just like to confirm from the clerk that people are also entitled to make comments on this via Zoom. Is that correct? I see it was advertised as being in person or Zoom.
Correct.
I will ask at this time, is the Zoom working? Because I received an email from a person who indicates that she had her hand up for public comments the last time and was ignored. So I'm wondering, is the Zoom working?
I can tell you that there are no hands up here. I will ask Dylan, who I believe is here this evening.
Mark is here.
Oh, Mark is here.
Yeah.
To check that, because,
Is it working, Mark?
yeah, we don't have any hands raised.
Right now, but did you have hands
We did
raised
not-
before?
We did not have hands raised before. I remember specifically checking, and that's why I mentioned it.
Okay. My comments with this are respect to the, some wording in here, and I'm just a little bit confused about it, because it does indicate that this covers private properties, but it also specifically says not owned or operated by the Village of Ridgewood. I do not believe that the village has any jurisdiction on any properties that are owned by the county, nor the state of New Jersey, or the Board of Education. So I'm just wondering if this could be worded a little differently to make sure that we know that properties that are owned by the state, the county, and the Board of Education are also excluded from this ordinance. I know the state and the county are. I'm just, can I verify from the attorney that the Board of Ed would also be excluded from this?
Yeah, my understanding is that we wouldn't be able to regulate the Board of Ed, the county, and state, so.
I
so
just,
the question
that
is-
sentence just could be changed to governmental properties, because it's more than the Village of Ridgewood properties.
Yeah.
There are, you know, the state operates a salt shed over on Franklin Turnpike. The Board of Education stores salt in the back of Benjamin Franklin Junior High School, and I believe that the county stores salt at the county park on East Ridgewood Avenue, so.
I think it's a fair point because of the parentheses that is in the body of the purpose of the ordinance, and oftentimes, depending upon what our code group does, the purpose doesn't necessarily get printed, but the issue is whether or not any amendment at this point is going to change the content or the meaning of this, and I don't believe by straightening out the privately owned or the non-village owned property and saying basically what the law allows, which is that, or law provides, which is that we don't regulate any other governmental agency, I don't think it changes it at all. So if the board, I mean, if the council thinks the clarification would be necessary, I think it can be done without jeopardizing the timing of the approval of this, so, or the adoption of it.
I'm not an attorney, but it doesn't seem like a substantive change to me. It's a minor thing, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I tried to say, but I used a lot more words.
Yeah, just to me, it needs some clarity because it's more than Village of Ridgewood properties that, you know.
So if anybody wants to, I mean, if you want to talk about it and decide if you want to do that, I think we can decide before next month when it gets, it's being carried till September. So we have time to look at that and just maybe change it a little bit better.
I have no comment other than that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any thoughts on that, anyone?
Yeah, I think it's fine to change it, to clarify it, to make it, you know,
Sure.
clearer.
And it doesn't change the substance of it. or
Exactly,
the
Great.
content of it.
Good. Any other comments? Seeing none, wait,
Oh.
I don't have it in front of me.
There's a problem.
It's not there. Okay, I will ask the person who is on hybrid access, who is not on my screen, but is waiting to begin. Perhaps you're on mute?
No, it's Denise.
Oh, there we go. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Denise, 319 East Cliff. I don't have a comment for this, but I was clearly on all in the beginning of this session, and my hand was raised, so I'm not sure why, Paul, you're not seeing me on there.
My apologies,
So,
Denise. It
Mar-
was, it was definitely not on our screen. I see you now. And if you have a comment, and again, my apologies. If you have a comment
I
about the
don't.
ordinance, we'll take it now. If not, if you could hold your comment till the end of the meeting, that would be great. And again, my apologies.
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. So seeing no other comments on this ordinance, I will close public comment for the moment, but I move the public hearing be continued to September 13th, 2023.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites.
Yep.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
The following resolutions, number 23-276 through 23-284, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. They will be read by title only. Authorized membership in Purchasing Cooperative, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Operational Services Division, OSD, PSE 01, Purchasing Cooperative. Award contract, repair of Police Department 2020 Tahoe. Award contract, layout, printing, assembly, and distribution of 2024 village calendar. Award contract under state contract and under Operational Services Division, OSD, PSE 01, Purchasing Cooperative. Purchase and installation of radio consoles, Fire Department. Rescind and replace Resolution Number 23-198, award contract, Creative Coping Toolkit. Authorize shared services agreement, snow plowing services with Bergen County. Authorize execution of settlement agreement, Water Pollution Control Facility. Chapter 159, 2023 Budget Amendment, Assistance to Firefighters Grant. Authorize installation of Verizon small nodes in various locations. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
Yes.
The following resolutions, number 23-285 through 23-286, will be considered separately and read in full. 23-285, be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the plans and specifications specifically titled Department of Parks Proposal for Tree Planting throughout the Village of Ridgewood, prepared by the Village of Ridgewood Department of Public Works Engineering Division on behalf of the Department of Parks, be and is hereby approved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood. This resolution is adopted pursuant to the authority of NJSA 59:4-6. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites.
Yes.
And Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos.
I'm going to recuse myself from this matter and from the next matter.
Okay, the next item, award contract tree planting throughout the Village of Ridgewood. Whereas the Village of Ridgewood received 7 bids for Department of Parks proposal for tree planting throughout the Village of Ridgewood in the Village of Ridgewood on Thursday, July 20th, 2023 at 11 a.m. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the award of the work of Department of Parks proposal for tree planting throughout the Village of Ridgewood inclusive be and is hereby awarded to the lowest responsible bidder, Downs Tree Service, Inc., 65 Royal Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, in the amount not to exceed $63,405. Be it further resolved that the Chief Financial Officer has certified that funds are available on account number C-04-55-9CY-625 in the amount of $5,325, and account number C-04-55-9CT-584 in the amount of $58,080. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
and Vagianos is recusing.
Excellent. We will now return to public comment, and I'm going to flip this for just a moment and start with our hybrid access because we skipped over Denise on the first end, and I still don't see her on my screen, but I assume that she is online. So Denise, if you are there, would you jump in?
Yes, thank you. Can
Go
you hear
ahead.
me okay? Denise Lima, 319 East Glen Ave. Yes, you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No,
Yep,
all
thank
good.
you. Great. Yeah, I'd like to understand a little bit more about why you're not seeing me. I don't know if there's anybody else online as well. First, want to get to thanking everybody for the Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. I myself am a 10-year survivor this year. I do think that going to the doctors regularly is super important. And there is a blood test, it's called a 125 marker, that is an early detection of ovarian cancer. And if anybody has it in their family, suggest to their doctor that they should run that. So thank you for recognizing that. Boyd talked about the left-hand turn. I think there's precedence at the Valley/Starbucks. There are 2 signs there for no left turn for each of the driveways, if it's something to look into. Hybrid access, is there a way we can tell how many people joined each meeting? So maybe at the end of the minutes, we can just kind of mark how many people attended. This will tell us how successful it is, because right now there's just probably still less than 5 people that are contributing, and it would be good to know how many people are viewing and attending as well. 2 asks for future meetings. One is an update on the town garage, which we seem to not have talked about in a long time. I think we're interested in getting a pocket park in that area. What are we doing with it? So if we could get that on the agenda, it would be great. And the master plan is another topic I'd like to hear more about, more in a formal setting, a formal, overview, what's been done, what have we implemented. It's 8 months. And just like to see what the progress is on that. And I'm still pitching for picnic tables in the parks. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Denise. I apologize for the earlier technical difficulties. Our new manager has already earned his salary because he worked with our tech team and has clicked on something, and now I see all the people who are waiting. And but first, let me just say, we're so happy to hear about your 10-year anniversary for being an ovarian cancer survivor. And now we're going to continue with our hybrid access because we skipped over them the first time. So Susan, you are up next. Susan, you're on mute at the moment. Still, there we go. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, yes, thank you. All right, Susan Ruan, 705 Kingsbridge Lane. I'm calling in regard to, just to point out that tonight there was some technical problems with the YouTube live stream. I couldn't access it, as well as I couldn't access the village website via my phone. So I'm not certain if there's some technical issues there. And the second point I'm going to make is that I'm so happy that there are a lot of roads being repaved in Ridgewood. And I have asked my neighbors, many of my neighbors, to email the village council as well as the village manager regarding repaving West Saddle River Road. Last April, I attended one of the Citizen Safety Advisory Committees to discuss both West Saddle River Road as well as the footbridge. And the village engineer at the committee confirmed that West Saddle River Road is not a county road, and it's the responsibility of Ridgewood for maintenance. And of course, I asked him, why wasn't the road ever repaved? I've lived in my apartment in our house for over 10 years, and the road has been in the same dilapidated state that it's been in. And a few years, people have actually gotten flat tires going over the potholes. He mentioned that the road won't get repaved until Shedler was completed because of the diggers and the big trucks, and they're, hurting the new roadway. However, Hohokus just completed a huge estate project that they built a bunch of new houses, same on West Saddle River Road, and that roadway is in far better condition than our roadway. And they took care of their roadway, and it's in mint condition in comparison to our roadway on West Saddle River Road. There is no foreseeable date to when the Shedler will be completed, and residents on this side of Ridgewood should not be penalized with a crumbling roadway. So I was hoping that the Village Council can seriously discuss when they'll be repaving West Saddle River Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan, and I know that the manager was writing that down also. He's going to be checking with the engineering department on that. And so we also have one more person on hybrid access. Frank, you're on. You're on mute, Frank. There we go.
Frank, the B-Man Mortimer, 426 Van Buren Street, Ridgewood, New Jersey. I just wanted to thank the Ridgewood Fire Department. Monday night, about midnight, in the PSE&G right-of-way between Glen and Franklin Ave, there was a electrical fire, and it looked like a scene out of a war because wires dropped. It was sparking like crazy, and thanks to our great fire department, they were able to contain it. Nobody's property and no person got hurt. So thank you, Ridgewood Fire Department.
Thanks, Frank. And that's all we have for hybrid access. So now let's go to public comment for those present in the room.
Thank you. Boyd A. Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I'm glad that the hybrid access was straightened out. I will comment that I believe in June I made a request that the screen here display the same information the screen at the Board of Education offices display, and that is who is waiting on hybrid access, just so we can make sure that everybody who is there is being heard, just as we do in the room. If you come up to the microphone in the room, we know who is here and we know who's being heard. Not sure what happened, whether that has been checked into by Dylan and his staff, but that would be much appreciated and would ensure complete transparency with respect to hybrid access. How many people are waiting? What are their names? And are they going to be being given an opportunity to speak? I was quite concerned tonight when I received an email immediately following the first session with somebody who said they had their hand up and they weren't called on, whether we were starting a new trend here, but I'm glad it was just a technical difficulty. With respect to Resolution 23-284, I believe the Deputy Mayor asked a question during the work session as to whether that was 5G and was told no. I will correct that and say it is 5G. Small nodes by Verizon is equivalent to 5G. So those are 5G antennas that are going on up there. Not that that makes any difference, but just so you know that that's 5G that's going at that location, or those two locations. There was quite a bit of talk about the new trash cans in town. Quite a bit. Quite a bit. And then this past weekend, we realized that what happens is that when you have an event on Saturday, followed up by an event on Sunday, and the trash cans don't get emptied, it's a mess. I'm hoping that the manager is going to resolve that issue so that doesn't happen in the future. It's been corrected already, yeah. Like it. You're on the job there. Thank you very much, sir. I don't know why it took so long to do that, but I'm glad it's been done. It was quite embarrassing this weekend to walk through Van Ness and see that garbage piled up all over the place. Also, prior to the election this year, there was quite a bit of complaining about Oprahs and how long it takes to get Oprahs done. One candidate in particular complained endlessly about that. For the record, every Oprah submitted by my family since this council took office, an extension has been requested. Every single one. So no progress is being made now that you're in office. Just want to put that on the record. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Boyd.
Good evening again. Ann Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I have been asked to read a statement by Catherine Schmidt, who's at a committee meeting tonight. So she lives on South Irving Street. I don't know the number. This is Catherine's words. I have already stated my opposition to the overdevelopment of Shedler on numerous occasions. In fact, as I learn more and live in and experience the consequences of the, oh my goodness, Anthropocene era in general, I am moving even closer to the non-development of Shedler. But that's not what I want to discuss. Thinking more about our field situation, as I have heard at many meetings, Ridgewood seems to have a significant lack of field inventory. So, first of all, how much of a dent is one field going to make? How many fields would it take to solve our problem? Much more, I suspect, than we have land to accommodate. They'll hold that thought for if and when Valley vacates. So maybe we just need to think about this very differently. Maybe it is not in our stars to have sufficient fields for all our needs, just like we probably don't have enough dance studios or movie theaters or art studios to satisfy everyone. Maybe a better solution is to look to neighboring communities. I am sure there are a number of creative ways to barter for field usage while offering services that we have and can share, or other sharing models. The continued pursuit of a one-track solution of a larger field on the Shedler property seems so contorted at this time, aggravated by so much more information on climate, trees, biodiversity, PFAS, health, more than when this project even began. I appreciate the out-of-the-box thinking underway, buying an adjacent property, moving the house, removing the historical designation, and I'm sure a few that I'm not even up to speed on. But they are all solutions in one direction, building a bigger field. Perhaps it might be worth looking in the opposite direction as well. In fact, sometimes I have found that this reverse osmosis approach even results in bringing a new solution into play that solves the original problem. I don't think the end game for Ridgewood should be to assimilate everything, including every good idea that every other town is grasping at. Rather, it should be more about making us unique and best in our own way. And yes, our own way may not attract everyone, but goodness knows we can all name communities that we do not want to live in because of the look and feel they have assumed. Franklin Lakes, Princeton, and Allendale are a few that come to mind for me that I don't aspire to. That does not mean they are undesirable communities by any means. It just means they are other than what I want. It would be helpful to see the results of some research on what it would take to share athletic resources with nearby towns, and I would be interested in any reaction to a shared service approach to sports fields. Thank you, Catherine Komsa-Schmidt.
Thank you, Catherine and Ann. Anyone else?
Rorik Hallaby, 1 Franklin Avenue. As some of you know, for about 5-6 years, I've been a bit of a voice in the wilderness as far as calling for an updated website. And as far as I'm concerned, Christmas has come in August, thanks to the leadership of Siobhan, who's a very, very effective person in accomplishing what needs to be accomplished. It's just amazing, putting all the resources, Dylan and what have you. And then the icing on the cake is our new manager, who basically has communications running in his veins. I mean, I can really want to thank you for the tremendous e-notices, what you have on Facebook, etc. But I'm so, so happy and to see that finally we're going to have a website that reflects well on Ridgewood. And yes, $50,000 is a bargain. It's a pittance for what it is we need. So, Siobhan, thank you very much. And Keith, you're the icing on the cake. Thank you.
Thank you, Rorik. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment.
Mayor, through you, if I could just clarify a few statements.
By all means.
Thank you. With regard to Susan's comments on the resurfacing of West Saddle River Road, We received a number of correspondence via email with regard to that. I know Councilmember Reynolds was involved in those correspondence as well. I spoke with the village engineer on that matter. There was a delay in listing that because his office was awaiting a decision on the direction with Shedler and whether or not there was going to be parking that would have expanded the roadway in some manner. And that's why the street was not scheduled to be resurfaced. With that in mind, I've asked him to include that in the decision-making for the upcoming streets and assess that street as he would any other street in the village. So that adjustment has been made in engineering. With regard to the 5G and the nodes to Mr. Loving, I don't exactly remember the terminology I used, but I do not think that I indicated to the deputy mayor that it was not 5G, because quite frankly, I didn't know the answer to the question, so I doubt I was definitive in my answer. I did clarify with Chris that in the days following the last meeting, so I hope the council was comfortable with the information that was provided. And with regard to the trash can situation, the conversion from pedestrian plaza to the activities associated with Destination Ridgewood, I think there was a little blip on coverage in the park to make sure that the trash can and liners were removed in a timely fashion. That's been corrected, and I don't anticipate any problems this weekend.
Keith, with regard to the 5G, I seem to recall that we hired a consultant who would look at the location of all the 5G facilities that we can't say no to.
Correct.
So if he could be involved in that placement.
Sure, I'll
these
convey that.
first
I'll
two.
convey that back to Chris.
Yeah.
You know, we've had, and Heather and I've had this conversation. We've had a number of inquiries about antennas throughout the village. Engineering, to their credit, has been very careful, especially when it comes to aesthetics, about making those recommendations to the council. But when it comes to these, there's very little wiggle room, as I think every municipality that's been asked to place these nodes in their town has struggled with over the last number of years. So, thank you, Mayor.
Paul, I wanted to address just a couple things. So with respect to Catherine's letter, I wanted to say a few things. First of all, when people talk about Valley leaving, one, I hope they stay, but it's very important from a planning perspective that Valley already has an affordable housing overlay on it, so it's not like Valley would leave and all that acreage would be potentially open space development. It would be extremely expensive, and we have an obligation through the affordable housing with this overlay. Two, from the idea of working and partnering with other municipalities, thankfully but unthankfully, due to flooding, we've had a lot of practice with that. We have all the sports teams, particularly youth teams, worked very hard. You know, the high school, Stevens, and this area has flooded 5 times in the past 2.5 years, and all of our student athletes have been displaced. So we have feedback not only on cost, but availability, and we are not alone in our shortage of open space. Bergen County is very overdeveloped. Our neighbors were very accommodating to us, but they didn't have enough. They're not as interested because they want to service the own needs of the community. And additionally, our older soccer players, the over 50 and 60 leagues, they already play out of district. They are at MAWA. MAWA's been very generous with them, and MAWA leaves their lights on to 11. So we've already displaced a significant population of our older adults, which I don't think is so great, you know, because we really want older adults to stay in place, and we're very grateful that MAWA has them. And the last thing I would say is that work was close. It is expensive and it is premium, but it's $40,000, not $50,000. That's it.
Good. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think that the Valley Hospital overlay does also include open space.
Right, a small amount, but it's not,
Yeah.
I want to be clear that we can't say, one, again, I hope Valley stays, but two, when they leave, that whole parcel of land will not be an open space addition.
Right.
Just so everybody knows, the agreement is that the facilities stay in the same size, same place. They're able to bring in certain healthcare uses for that and continue that on. And then if not, it is designated as an area in need of redevelopment for affordable housing. So just to make sure everybody in the public's aware.
Good. All good? Let's move on.
I just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.